I hope you've enjoyed my hometown and I hope you had an excellent time. This session is going to wrap up this conference, and to do so, some of you, how many of you have not lost your campaign kit along the way? Oh, excellent, excellent, excellent. Everyone needs a toolkit. This is your toolkit. This is our toolkit to change the rules. It's going to provide you with the basic information that you need to be able to go out there and to deliver the narrative and to tell the stories and to explain to our members and to our activists what we need to do and what's wrong with our system. So if you turn to page 2, you can see it's written there, the 2 things that you need to do, and it's what I talked about on the first day. So it's telling the story of inequality and of power, and secondly, it's finding the local stories of the broken rules. So what you've got to do is think about, on each page, how does it apply to your members in your industries? So for each of us, different industries, each of these issues are going to apply in different ways. But that's not the case on page 3, because that's the overall stats about inequality in Australia, and there's a few bits in there about the rest of the world as well. So, you know, when you're giving a talk or when you're in front of members or you're at a barbecue or wherever, easy ones to pull out as proof points to back up what we're saying about inequality and about some people having far too much. It's all there and it's there for you easily. You go over to the next page. That's all the stats you're going to want to need about tax and about some people not paying their fair share. You can see we've gone through some of the biggest tax avoiding companies. You can see that we're talking about the 48 who don't pay any tax. This is really for you to pick and choose what you'd like. Obviously, fixing this issue and making sure everyone pays their fair share is critical to having a good public sector and services for us all. On the next page, what we've done is actually explained what the issue is in terms of industrial action, that part of our rights that are broken and where it's too restrictive. So this is really for you and I guess for delegates. So for those of your members who will be most educated and engaged around the way that the Act works, and let's say you've got it in your head. You can read it, it's fairly simple, takes you through it, and it's got a case study, because that's what we're looking for, right? Case studies. Go to the next page. We're talking about wage theft and workers' rights. This one's pretty straightforward. We all understand that one. And you can see there's a series of case studies there, and I'm sure by next week there'll be another 6 of them. Next page is about how hard it is for us to be able to resolve disputes or just enforce the rights that we've currently got. So this takes you through what's wrong and how it's wrong. So again, this is more for delegates and those that are actively engaged in enforcing rights. And you can see the case study of Dave down in Wollongong as an example of how hard it is just to enforce basic rights and the consequences when you try and use our traditional ways of resolving things. The next page I know you'll all be familiar with, but it plays out differently for us in different industries, enterprise bargaining and how that system's broken for us. At the moment, we've got a situation in Esso in Victoria with 3 unions involved there, 200 members. The company has outsourced the work. They're using, again, an agreement signed by 3 casual workers as a means of undercutting paying conditions, and they want those workers to take a pay cut, and they're decided they're going to stand up and fight back, just like the workers did at CUB. But another example, just today, we're hearing about this happening. So you've got to think about how this applies for you in your industries, and it'll be different depending on, obviously, the workers that you work with. Penalty rates, I reckon this one, everyone here is pretty well drilled on what's going on with penalty rates. But again, after this weekend, we move into a new phase of this campaign, and that is about finding the real-life examples of those people who actually do get their penalty rates cut. Because what we are looking for is the iconic employer who does cut penalty rates. The very best one for us will be one that's got an operation in every country town in the country. For those of you like me who are old and were around during the Your Rights at Work campaign, Spotlight. Spotlight was our iconic employer that we found and that we all united around to highlight just how bad work choices was. If we could find a place like this, let's say JB Hi-Fi or somewhere like that, that refuses to keep their penalty rates, as a movement, we've got to unite around. That too. You go to the next page, insecure work. So the way this plays out, also different in your industries, but actually there's a common thread all throughout this, and that's the effect on people, to be in insecure work and what that's like. So really find the stories on that. The minimum wage for those unions that have workers on the minimum wage, there's the rundown about what's gone on there and why have we moved from having a living wage to a minimum wage. You will find an insert in your toolkit, and this is the First Nations Workers Alliance insert. As you can see here, this is a very, very exciting initiative, and it is to do with the launch of the First Nations Workers Alliance. And what it is a voice for Indigenous union members. Non-Indigenous union members can join as supporters as well, and I encourage everyone who's not Indigenous to do so, to support that. But this takes people through the facts around the CDP program. So obviously not all unions will be affected by this, but most of us actually will, or in our communities. So you can have a read of that, and you can see why that is an unjust program that we've got to get rid of too. You go to the next page, and about modern workplaces, this is really about gender equality. You can see the graphs that are there, and you can see the statistics, and you can see basically all the ways patriarchy is working to make things worse for women in the workplace. So all the stats are there for you. Next page, there's a few of them, go over the ABCC. Again, the rundown, especially for those of you who aren't in industries that are immediately affected by this, hopefully explains in simple terms what's going on, because we do have to tell that story to all members. Health and safety and asbestos. This is a legacy of corporate power. Everyone remembers James Hardie and everything they tried to do to get out of paying what they needed to do. That's the story there, and the fact that that's still an issue. Now, finally, at the end, what you can see is a really simple stump speech. So this is one you can adapt. You can pick and choose. We've all got our own styles and ways of doing things, hey? So obviously be yourself, adapt it to what's appropriate to your union and what your union leadership would like, and according to your members. But I've been doing this, I don't know, probably about 30,000 workers now, and in lots of different places around the country, and it works really well, I can tell you. So it's really easy to deliver, and it's there on 2 pages. So that's to make it really straightforward. Finally, you're going to see on the final pages, along with another lift out that you're going to have in there, and that is how you submit your story. First of all, you've got to tell it yourselves, and you've got to tell it yourselves to other union members, and then use social media, work out within your own union, your union leaderships, how you want to elevate that story. But what we want at the ACTU and at the TLCs is a big database of stories to illustrate why the Fair Work Act is broken and it's not strong enough, so that we can look at that and go, okay, this issue has come up now. We need to find the actual case studies that illustrate this. Well, we've got it right here in front of us. So we could say, okay, let's put some extra money into doing a video or doing a television ad or doing whatever around one of those particular aspects. So what I'm asking you to do is that where you have good examples of that, please fill in this form and submit it there at the website. Easy to do, easy to fill in, basic details that we would need to be able to amplify those stories for everyone. So pretty straightforward. It was the task I asked people to do at the beginning of this conference. Tell the story of inequality, of corporate greed. We've got to make it as clear to people as possible. And we've got to talk about that and talk about the way that it manifests in our workplace. And the more we do that, and the more we make more people are angry about it because it's unfair, the better position we will be in to grow a movement to change it. So that is our immediate job, and then to find the local examples that illustrate it. So that's a simple task, the takeout of the last 3 days, which I really hope you've enjoyed.